All right, episode 5 of new Exorcast. I can never get my hand in there right to where people
No,
can
we've
see.
not wore the same clothes for 3 weeks in a row, right?
Nope, nope, nope.
That's the fun of back to back to back. The next time we should try like wardrobe changes between. Anyway,
We're doing like the WWE tapings at this point, right?
yeah, or AEW.
Yeah.
Yep.
So in this episode, we're strictly talking about an app, a streaming app called Tubi. Tubi.
So underrated.
So, and the funny thing is I wanted to do this show because over quarantine, I think Chuck discovered it over quarantine, and I know I did too. But
I had it downloaded beforehand, but I never looked into it. That was a
there's
weird
so
thing. I never
much
really
stuff
dug
on
into it.
there, and they claim to have more than Netflix, and I honestly think they do. But of course, I only go through the horror and the sections and some of the thriller. But I'm like, let's do an episode, and this is said episode, and I said, let's pick 5 things to recommend off of Tubi for someone that's into the genre and has never used Tubi before, or has just never, downloaded it because they have to fucking download something. And a couple of days ago, maybe last week, James sent in our group text, and he's like, "Wait a minute, do people actually talk about Tubi in the horror community?" And I said, "No," because I don't think you realized how much shit is actually on here, did you?
I was blown away. There's Shout Factories on there. There's old Magnet stuff that I reviewed way back when that no one ever talks about anymore.
It's got newer Severin titles.
Yeah, I found the Tales from. I'm not gonna. This is not one of my 5, but the Tales from the Crypt Keeper cartoon from the '90s is on there. I was
I'm
like,
pretty
Jesus
sure
Christ.
I'm pretty sure the Toxic Crusaders cartoon is on there.
Wouldn't surprise me.
There's a lot of trauma stuff on there. Now,
There's like the entire
doing,
Full Moon catalog is on there.
Oh yeah. They got a big deal with Charles.
which makes me wonder why Full Moon even does Full Moon streaming when all their stuff's on here anyway.
Well,
because
half
the
the
stuff
stuff now.
Yeah, well, half the stuff on the Full Moon streaming wasn't even Full Moon titles when I looked at it.
Yeah, they're big on. They've got like Necromantic and Blue Underground now. So
it's like when me and Goob were talking about doing the Zombies on podcast, which didn't go very far, but we were talking about watching Intruder, and he went to revisit it, and I was like, well, maybe it's online somewhere. So when I Googled it, it said it was on Tubi. So that's what opened the door for Tubi. I was like, wow, that's not the only thing on Tubi. And if you've been watching my channel on YouTube here lately, I've been doing a lot of reviews from stuff from Tubi, and I'll say it's from Tubi. But one of the reasons I've been using it so often is like last year or year before last, me and Grooms ran into a video store that was going out of business. And nobody around here had bought like half anything. And it's $1 a DVD. And it was like Coal Miners Massacre, stuff like that. Just real cheap, like the early 2000 Lionsgate style stuff, all that. And I bought all that stuff. And then I figure out now it's on Tubi. About every bit of it that I bought. And in some cases, it's widescreen on Tubi when it's not widescreen on the disc. So,
this is true.
I love it. I use it usually every night when I go to sleep. I'll put something on it and I'll stay awake if I like it, or fall asleep and finish it later on.
Yeah, I downloaded the Tubi app because I have a Amazon Fire Stick, and when we got the new TV, I brought the old one down here when I remodeled the basement and set like this half up as an office and the second half as like a living room for the kids to play and all that. And I put Prime on there so we could watch Boomerang and they can watch Scooby Doo and all that shit. And I was Google searching for my daughter to watch The Gate, and it came up on Tubi, and I'm like, okay, I'll install Tubi because it said it's free. And I started looking, I'm like, holy shit, there's so much good stuff on here. I mean, there's fucking Deep Red's on there.
Oh yeah, to be fair, Deep Red's also on Shudder, but
sure, there is a lot of stuff that's on here that's on Shudder, but
there's a lot that isn't.
Correct. And Killer Clowns from Outer Space and The Gate were both on Amazon Prime streaming. They were taken off there and immediately put on Tubi. And they've been on Tubi for at least 3 months now.
Yeah, it seems like they hold stuff for a while.
The only bad thing some people might have is there is little commercial breaks here and there.
Like 30-second commercial breaks, yeah. But it's free.
But it's free. You ain't got to put no credit card, nothing in. It's just you install it. Or you can stream it on your desktop, too. You don't have to even download that.
You don't even have to create an account. You can stream as a guest. The only perk that I've found as signing into making an account is you can set up a watch list, and it'll recommend stuff for you as well based on your watch list and your history. Other than that, you don't even have to have a footprint on it.
Well, it also helps to pick up where you left off if you have to cut something off halfway or something.
Yeah. And should be clear, by the way, just to point it out, this is not paid promotion. Are you kidding? This is us just talking about something that, they aren't paying us anything to talk about this. This is legit. We just feel like no one knows about this, and people need to know about this.
Yeah, this ain't Comet TV. I'm not getting boxes of free stuff in the mail.
And I'm not getting boxes of Comet TV stuff from the mail from Chuck talking about it, because somehow that happened twice.
Nobody would enter the contest, so I had to pick a winner.
Ah, okay. I'll take it.
There you go. Surprise.
No, I was legitimately blown away by Tubi, and no one on my Twitter stream, nothing. No one has fucking talked about this.
People talk about Pluto TV more on my Twitter stream, and Pluto's good. Pluto's okay. It's got, a Shout Factory channel and a MS23K channel. It's more like an actual cable service that's free than a, streaming service, but it does have on demand. But I see that more, and Pluto's not as good as Tubi. Tubi is much
not
better.
Close to me.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing: Tubi to Shudder. Shudder's $5-6 a month, depending on how you sign up.
Yep.
And there's of course no commercials, and you get stuff like Joe Bob, and then you've got Shudder Originals, and some of their TV shows are really fucking cool. Dead Wax is amazing, and I have to talk about that on this show at some point. But Tubi's horror section dwarfs.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's fucking Shudder's catalog is minuscule compared to Tubi's.
I've not reached the end of the horror section. I just kept looking and looking and looking.
Dude, I did. I had to do it on my phone and just go through.
Scroll. Yeah.
There's a few things on here
that we would consider horror in the thriller section.
Yeah, exactly. That's the other thing. Yeah.
I mean, they've got Angel and Avenging Angel from Vinegar Syndrome on there. They don't have the third one though.
It's got basically all the major labels that I like collecting movies from have movies on there. So I mean, we'll talk about it when we start picking these movies out and stuff. But it's just there's so much obscure stuff and I think I'll probably mention this, but I'll mention it right up front, is if you don't want to go and pay a lot of money for, say, a Code Red Blu-ray of something, it's probably on Tubi for free.
I believe Beyond the Door is on there right now.
Well, I just watched, and this is not one of my picks, but I watched Witch Trap. And I'm like, well, I'm going to watch it on here because I missed out on the Vinegar Syndrome sale. And you know what? I'm glad, because that movie wasn't fucking good at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I would have $15. I would have paid for that Blu-ray, which I mean I've probably paid more for worse. But I was just able to watch it this week and be like,
saves your money.
Oh, I'm glad I didn't fucking buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's a few things I've watched on there that I'm glad I didn't, break down and buy.
Well, even Chuck, you reviewed it, but what's his face? Jason West released the movie Don't Fuck in the Woods.
Yeah, which is on my
Vulture Video. It's on there. So it's on here. Morgan and I watched that the other night.
Well, the dude that did oh hell, the Ellie Church movies, was it something like?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
All those movies are on there. It's loaded with indie movies. I watched all 8. Well, I didn't watch the first 3; they're not on there. But out of the 9 Camp Blood shot on video movies, I watched all of them but the first 3.
And I watched all your reviews. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's so much obscure stuff. It's shot on video stuff is on here. Blood Lake and stuff is on here. The stuff that the DVD would come out a while back, and it was a shot on video thing. It's on there. There's so much obscure stuff. To me, it's cooler than even Netflix, because I have Netflix accounts, and I don't even watch half of anything on Netflix.
I never get on Netflix.
I get Netflix long enough every year to watch Stranger Things, and then I'm done with it.
We have Netflix because my wife likes to watch comedy stuff, and there's tons of comedies on there. But I only seriously, once they took It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia off of there and put it on Hulu, since Hulu and Fox did that merger, and then Disney and all that shit. But 2 years ago, when It's Always Sunny went straight to Hulu and was only on Hulu, I was done with Netflix. That's all I watched on there. Now it's
Hmm.
all I watch on Hulu. But
Yeah.
I digress. Um, let's get into our 5 movies. You want to just kind of go round and
Mhm.
round? Who wants to go
Sure.
first? Chuck?
Yeah, I'll go first. The first thing I picked, it ain't necessarily a horror movie, but this is just a movie to show the range of what they have on this thing. Because
Okay.
years ago on HBO, that's how long ago it was, I watched
Yeah.
this movie called The Sasquatch Gang. Okay, which is kind of Pulp Fiction, kind of Napoleon Dynamite. It's like if they had a baby, right? It's got Justin Long in it as like one of the leads,
Oh,
Mhm.
and I watched this thing and I loved it. And you can't find the DVD nowhere. I think there's like a burnt DVD or Blu-ray on Amazon or something like that. But I couldn't find the movie nowhere. And lo and behold, it is here free on Tubi. And while it may not be everybody's cup of tea, but if you're watching us, I think you like cult movies at least.
Mhm.
I'd say give it a try. If you like Napoleon Dynamite and Pulp Fiction, give it a try because it's the
Mhm.
style of Napoleon Dynamite, but it's out of order like Pulp Fiction. So
what was it called?
the Sasquatch Gang.
Sasquatch Game.
Sasquatch game or
Gang.
gang?
Gang.
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 NG. Gang.
Gang. So my accent gets in the way of some things. Okay, but yeah, that I think you guys would like it if you've not seen it. I think you'd like it.
I'll check it out.
Sounds interesting. So I had something else in mind for a second, but you kind of gave me a segue. It's a movie I saw originally on Blu-ray first. I never hear anybody talk about it, but it really took me by surprise when I saw it. It also has Justin Long in it, um, but it also has Christina Ricci and it has Liam Neeson, and no one ever still talks about it. It's called Afterlife.
Oh
It's
yeah.
Yeah, it's on Tubi. It's really really good if you haven't seen it. It's basically Christina Ricci's character is dead, but
And naked.
somehow keeps yes, not the most important thing about the movie, but yes. Um, but she's dead, but she keeps coming back and talking with Liam Neeson, who's her coroner, and trying to cope with her death. But there might be more to what's going on than that, basically. And it's just really, really creepy and eerie, and it's a really great performance from Christina Ricci and Liam Neeson. Justin Long's fine, but Ricci and Neeson just they're really good, and I think it's criminally underrated.
I
I
have
have
it
it
on
on
DVD.
DVD. Yeah.
I have it on Blu-ray.
There's a Blu-ray. I
It
didn't know
was a
this
Blu-ray. I forget where I got it from, but I got it on Blu-ray.
Well, I need a Blu-ray.
So the first one on my list is Witchery with Linda Blair and David Hasselhoff.
Scream Factory title.
Is it a Scream Factory title?
Yep.
They put it out on a 2-pack
Oh, okay. If it ever gets
with
its
Ghost
single,
House, I think.
Yeah.
if it ever gets a single release, I will buy it because I really enjoy the movie. I watched as a kid, completely forgot all about it, and we started randomly talking. I was describing scenes in it to Eli on an episode of Exorcast, a fucking decade ago, and he's like, "Oh, I have it." We watched it and reviewed it the next week,
Mhm.
and I watched it again because I hadn't seen it since then, and it's bad, but it's good. Like it's really fun.
I know exactly.
Yeah, they have a Shriek Shot, a DVD of it as well. I have the DVD.
Now, was
Um,
this considered a sequel to Evil Dead in some places? Or
Some
was it
people
or,
released it as like La Casa 4, I think they
yeah,
called it, and that was how it became they sort of Evil Dead sequel.
yeah, it was La Casa 4, but Witchery is fun,
Mhm.
and the stitching of the lip scene. You watch it, you get to it. It's really cool.
Mm. Who's the director? I can't remember off the top of my head. If you
Somebody
know,
Italian, I'm sure.
it is. I know. It's just like I know it's a name I've heard of. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, he won the ball.
I almost want to think it's Fergasso, but I don't think it is.
Fabrizio Laurenti,
Aha.
I am wrong. Okay.
directed as Martin Newland.
The glorious age of fake pseudo-American pseudonyms.
Yes.
What do you got
Chuck?
for 4?
Okay, I picked because even though the guy was a dick to me one time, I'm a big fan of Grindhouse Releasing, and a lot of their stuff is on here. So I picked the old Duke Mitchell movie, Massacre Mafia style.
Oh
Ooh.
God, yes, that's such a good movie.
Great.
I didn't even realize that was on here.
I think Gone with the Pope might be on there too.
Not as good, but Massacre Mafia Style is amazing.
But, if you like mafia movies, and it's done, this guy did a lot to get these movies done. I think he only done 2 movies his whole life, and
he never even really finished the second one. Yeah.
So, but they're really good, and if you haven't seen them now, since it's free on Tubi, there's no reason not to at least watch this, because if you like any kind of mafia thing, and it's cult, it's very, even though it's not horror, it feels like it rubs elbows with it just because of the way it's shot and the style of it.
Oh yeah.
So,
and it is that kind of time frame also, where he could be just shade left of PC, and there's a few moments of that in there.
It's very crazy. I mean, it opens up with them going through a building shooting everybody.
And that's the trailer.
Yeah.
The trailer's like 2 or 3 minutes long, and it's just that scene.
Yeah. What one of my favorite parts of the movie is, like, at times in it, they'll go to shoot somebody and they'll say, "Why me?" And he goes, "Why not?" and just shoots. So if you've not seen it, I saw this when it came out on Blu-ray, which, you remember, we waited years for this.
Oh,
this
God,
yes. This was going to go beyond the Cat in the Brain DVDs, all that stuff. And we waited years for it, and it was definitely worth the wait. I love the movie.
Such a good movie. I saw it originally 35 millimeter purely by luck, because the one I used to go to in upstate New York, Poughkeepsie area, did it. They like to do those. I also saw Gone with the Pope that way, but that thing kills the theater, man. It is just amazing to watch it, especially if you've never seen it, because you just have no idea what's coming, and it is just so good. Mine is one from a horror director, but no one ever talks about this movie. They talk about his other stuff a lot, but this one kind of slipped under the radar for a lot of people. It's called Stuck. It's by Stuart Gordon.
Yeah.
It's got, I believe it's Mina Savari. Something like that.
Yeah.
And also Stephen Mena is in it. And the concept basically is Mina Savari's character gets into a car accident and gets Stephen Mena's character stuck in her dashboard and tries to hide the accident. But Stephen Mena's character is apparently still alive and talking to her. And it's kind of a black comedy horror kind of blend.
I'm pretty sure that was based on a true story, though, like an actual news headline.
Yes, it is supposed to be based on a true story that happened as well. But like, I originally saw it in a Blockbuster on DVD, and I heard about it beforehand, and it's really well done in terms of, like, it's very funny, but also it's kind of very intense in terms of just like the nature of it. It's really quite good, and it being on there, like, no one ever. That's probably that, and probably King of the Ants are probably the 2 movies in Stuart Gordon's filmography that no one ever mentions. I have not watched King of the Ants yet, but Stuck, it deserves to at least be talked about.
I have it on DVD. I actually bought it maybe when Blockbuster was going out of business. Bought it from them.
Yeah, I bought my Blu-ray, I think, of it that way, because they were the only place you could get it because it was exclusive to Blockbuster. But yeah. Or the DVD was. The Blu-ray I bought later because I was mad it wasn't a Blu-ray.
My second pick is a movie that I'm pretty positive Scream Factory released in 2015. It's called Bite, and no one talks about it. It's not a low-budget movie by any means. It is a really fucked up movie. It's a straight-up body horror movie that Cronenberg would just fucking swoon over. And there's a whole, like, drastic storyline to it, and it doesn't matter. But the girls go out, they go on, like, they go to some island out in the Caribbean, and they go to a special, like, secret native only swimming pool, like an area, and this bug bites her. And she starts changing when she gets back to the States. And she's becoming this kind of insect thing. And there's tons of movies, like, it's very much like very similar to The Fly. But the effects, everything are done so well, and it's got some fucking gross out moments in it. And I've never ever heard of anyone talk about this movie. I bought it on a whim, and I fucking love it.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it, but when it first came out, it got a decent bit of buzz. But it just seems like that anything that's like that gets like a decent bit of buzz on their first, it just dies out away quickly and everyone forgets about it. So
It's a fucking
absolutely.
shame because that movie is crazy.
Yeah. Well, for the one that I picked next, I picked the already mentioned Don't Fuck in the Woods. not because not because it's like a masterpiece or anything, just because it really kind of shows you like the type of stuff you can find on here, because the indie stuff, and this was like a pretty well talked about in the indie circle movie a few years back. And and I don't even know what release it ever got. I think it finally got a DVD release, but with a title like that, I guess it's kind of hard to get a release. But
Yeah,
Probably.
yeah.
They're making it. They're currently filming it. They were currently filming a sequel.
yeah, I know. Yeah,
Still
I
don't.
seen that because one of the guys in it commented on my review of it and said it was like wrapping up or something like that.
Very cool.
But it's just it's simple. Like these people just go to the woods just to have a good time, and while they're there, there's a strange creature just killing people off, and usually it happens while they're in the process of having sex. That's just how it is. It's not like it ain't as gratuitous as you might think it is with a title like that. Although there is plenty of nudity. It's even got porn star Nadia White in it, which was on the cover of the Jason CD. One time. Uh, but it's good stuff. I mean, it's if you like indie horror, it's worth watching. And there's also a bunch of indie horror on here, so good stuff.
Okay. I've noticed that one of my trends in mine is that I hate picking movies that have a big name actor in something that no one really talks about much. Sometimes not even in the horror community. This one, I'll admit, maybe it's a little more talk in the horror community. This one has, I believe it's James Marsden. I always mix it up with Marsters. Nick Stahl, but it also has a young, gothed out Katie Holmes, which you might already know what I'm talking about, but it was released by Scream Factory on a almost featureless Blu-ray. The first time I saw it was on USA. It's Disturbing Behavior from the 90s. I saw it on USA in a version that it still drives me nuts to this day. It had all the deleted scenes put back in it. So when like Scream Factory announced it, they asked them if they got it, and they said, no, we don't. Here's all the deleted scenes. And everyone was like, well, shit. Like, we know it existed. USA aired it on TV. But it's basically a movie about a kind of preppy town and a preppy school with a very, that has your usual standard cliques, your jocks, your stoners, etc. But one group is called the Blue Ribbons, and they're basically everything rolled into one: jocks, super athletes, etc. But they're also kind of bullyish, and everybody loves them. But it turns out that there's this secret kind of behavior modification going on using a very Clockwork Orangey kind of, programming setup. And the stoners all find out about it and figure it out and try and end it before like it can affect one of the person's sisters. And the thing is, like, my favorite part about it is it also has William Sadler in it. In probably next to Breaker in Demon Knight, probably the favorite thing I've ever seen him do. He plays this kind of idiot savant janitor, but it becomes very apparent he's really knows everything in essence, knows about everything going on, and has all the best lines, all the best quotable lines. It's very eerie. It's not super bloody because it was during that time. It was the 90s, all the teen stuff was kind of a little low key. But it was the second movie I ever reviewed when I was writing reviews. And I talk about it in that review. It got rated R. It is not that gory. It is not that violent. The thing is, it scared people because it's a movie about standing up to authority and about, being yourself, in addition to being really fucking creepy because of how they handle a lot of the implications of the medical experiments. And I never see anybody talk about it at all. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Well, I remember it because it had that flagpole set of song.
Oh yeah, everybody knows that. The one, if there's one thing everyone knows about it, it's that the song "Flagpole Set Up" by Harvey Danger pretty much came from that movie.
Knowing what we know now about Scream Factory, it's really a shame that this didn't get a collector's edition release.
Very much so.
When you take into consideration the material that was out there, they could have done one with. Especially when you look at some of their stuff they've put. They put Cobra, Stallone's Cobra, on collector's edition for Scream Factory.
I should point out, I don't know because I haven't watched it on Tubi yet. I don't know if it's the uncut or not. I assume because Shout Factory does have a lot of stuff on there that it's the same one that would be on the Blu-ray.
I'm sure.
But if it is the integral cut, then hell yeah. Otherwise, the deleted scenes, they definitely add a bunch of stuff and you should kind of seek them out if you can. But just seeing it in general, even in that form, it's still a really good movie.
It's been a long time since I've seen it.
Mhm.
I think I have a DVD of it,
That was the way I had it first, yeah.
but I honestly I had no idea that Scream Factory released it on Blu-ray.
Yep, I think it has. Does it have a commentary? I don't even think it might have a commentary, and that's about it. It has like
commentary.
and it has the deleted scenes on it too. But yeah.
But not the other version though that everybody else saw.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look it up. I might have to pick one of those up.
Yeah.
So my third pick, going into some more indie horror with Chuck there, by indie horror veteran director Todd Sheets. I actually helped back this movie when it was doing its Kickstarter or GoFundMe, and it stars Eli DeGear. She's actually she used to be pretty cool. We reviewed some stuff that she had been in before, and she was super nice to us and talked to us. And she was friends with Rob, I think, from Wild Eye.
Oh,
but your old buddy. And it also has Linnea Quigley in it, and it's Bone Hill Road. It's not the greatest movie.
In case that wasn't obvious from Chuck's reaction.
I've
never seen it. I'm just saying the reaction was funny.
It's a little too long. There's a little too much backstory. There's a little bit in there that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it is a werewolf movie, and all of the werewolves, all the effects are practical, and the werewolves look really, really fucking good. And that's a pet peeve of mine because I love werewolf flicks. And when you get one with shitty looking werewolves, it completely takes me out of it.
Oh yeah.
There's a little bit of nudity in it because it's again a indie flick, and I feel like sometimes, unless you're Chuck Connery, they just feel like they have to put some tits in there to get the movie going.
Well,
but again, it's a little slow.
Strippers at the local club, you know.
Don't worry, Chuck. You'll get there one day. We'll get some tits in one of your movies. But I recommend it just because if you like werewolf films, you're like me, you want to see some cool looking wolves, some good gore. Todd Sheets always has good gore in his movies. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
He's pretty
hit
pretty questionable but I like Todd. I've spoken to him a handful of times because he works with Rob a lot too, I think.
Oh yeah, about everything he puts out here lately is Wild Eye.
Yeah.
Like I don't mind Todd Sheets. Okay, he's got like this little cult following though, and if you say one bad thing about their movie, then they come swarming.
They do. Swarming. And that happened to you, didn't it?
It did on this movie. Because I didn't like the the creepy serial killer guy, right? That's in the movie. I thought it was unnecessary. I thought the actor was terrible. Well, here come the actor.
It was
throwing insults left and right because I didn't like his.
I might not tag that movie in this description.
Well, if you'll look, when I did a review on my channel of Clownado, I didn't like Clownado, and there's a lot of thumbs down. So
that's what I was thinking about. Your Clownado.
Every time I've ever given a bad review, I've been swarmed by online people.
One of the actors from Clownado commented on your YouTube video, didn't they?
Probably the same guy that commented on the Twitter over this one, probably.
Fair enough.
He's the president of the Todd Sheets fan site. The president, right? Like the webmaster, you know. The head actor, right? So, you know, that's why he's the one that always comes out of the woodwork. And lo and behold, now he's in Todd Sheets movies.
Yeah.
So, funny how that works.
You know,
we can agree that we like Todd Sheets.
I like Todd Sheets.
All right.
I don't mind him. I haven't seen much, so I can't really say anything.
That should give us a pass and no hatred. So
when we did the the little indie convention down here in Manchester, Tennessee, that Donald Farmer came to, and the director of Gore Horror and everything came to. Todd Sheets was wanting to come. He just never got the invite because nobody knew he was actually coming. But if we ever get to do it again, he may show up at the next one.
That's good.
That'd be cool. All right, Chuck, you're number 4.
Well, if you listen to this podcast a lot, you're going to hear a whole lot of stuff about Lucio Fulci. And as a result, I picked Conquest because I love Conquest. Love it. Love the sword and sorcery stuff. And this is like a kind of, I think it's getting a Blu-ray release now that's supposed to be more
Red.
Yeah.
There was one before that was kind of hard to get. But,
I have that one. I have that Blu-ray.
It's just crazy.
I don't much care for it, but it is a Fulci film. I'll say that.
Well, he dabbled in everything. It's just
he made westerns. Yeah. Post-apocalyptic.
I will say I don't much care for it, but it's not a bad movie at all. I'm just not in the sword and sorcery, and Eli was always fucking shoving them down my throat, trying to make me watch them, and I just couldn't get into them.
Mm.
Not a Deathstalker fan either.
I don't think I've seen it.
All right, we'll add to the. Continuing my trend, I'm going with one with Ryan Reynolds in it this time. It's from a couple years ago, though. You might have seen The Voices.
Yeah, I've not watched it, but I own it.
It's very good. Wife and I got it just from the back of the case. Basically, he plays a guy who thinks he can talk to his dog and his cat. And if you watch the special features, you find out actually he voices the dog and the cat actually himself. They were going to get someone else, and he decided he could do it, so he voices them with different voices.
That makes total sense.
So basically, they talk to him, etc. He has this rosy image of what his world is, and then he falls in love with someone. Something goes wrong, and it kind of just snowballs on him. And you kind of start to see that maybe things aren't what he thinks they are, and maybe things are a little different. It's a very interesting, very well done black comedy, and he gives everything he has to that movie. Like, in terms of, one of the reasons that I picked the movies I did is because a lot of people think that some actors won't, give everything for a movie that's not quite as big or doesn't quite have as big of a name. And these are movies that have like big names, but that are good both because of and independent of the fact that they have the big name in them.
Well, the girl in question is the chick from Pitch Perfect.
That too, yes. Anna
Kendrick. Yeah.
Yes, she is also in it, yes.
I need to watch that. I've been putting it off, and every time I think about it, it just, slips out of my mind.
It's good.
It's a great comedy.
It gets dark pretty quick.
Very
good.
Very, very dark.
All right. My 4th movie is Jack Brooks' Monster Slayer, with Trevor Matthews and Robert Englund. It's definitely more of a comedy, but for whatever reason, and Morgan and I just rewatched it a couple of weeks ago, and it's just a fun movie. It's corny, it's batshit crazy about the past, and it just makes me happy. The effects are all right. The monsters are kind of cool. Really fucking corny and sci-fi kind of looking, but Robert Englund is like a zany college professor, but it's like night school for adults college, and it's definitely set in a certain period in the 2000s because like the hot girl in the class has like the swoopy emo haircut and all the like bracelets and whatnot. But I really, really thought Trevor Matthews was going to have like a bigger career than what he did, and I think it's unfortunate that he didn't.
Doesn't it have like all practical effects too?
I'm pretty sure it does.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen it.
I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
I don't even think it ever.
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't even think it came out on Blu-ray. I think it might have.
That's what I was about to say. Is it's one of those few movies that are part of that little group that happened when Lionsgate said, "Yeah, we'll give you a Blu-ray with absolutely nothing on it."
That's right.
Yeah. Some of those don't even have menus.
That's true. That's true. They just go straight to the movie.
There's no need for a menu because there's nothing to
They give us
select
the
besides
they
the
give us the
movie.
There's
saw
no
set,
subtitles. There's nothing.
the saw set with no extras.
Yep.
For the last one I picked here, I picked Encounters with the Unknown. This is a lesser known anthology flick that was released on a 2-pack with a movie called Sasquatch from Code Red that sometimes is easy to get and sometimes it's not easy to get. But both of them are on here free. Now, is the movie necessarily great? No. But it's an anthology, which I love anthologies. Some of the stories are pretty cool. They're narrated by Rod Sterling from The Twilight Zone. I'm not sure if he had anything to do with the writing, although I feel like maybe he kind of did, because some of these stories actually have kind of like that Twilight Zone twist on them. Are you
There's
having
a
a
bug in
problem?
You okay?
There's something flying around.
Continue.
See there? You mentioned Rod Sterling. Creepy stuff starts happening.
Oh,
Although,
shit.
being West Virginia, it could be the Mothman. You never can tell. But no, it's a good movie. It don't look very good, so I don't know if the Blu-ray looks any better or not. But if I could get it cheap, I would buy it. But if not, I can settle for it free on Tubi. You know.
Fair enough. I'll check it out.
Sorry, the name again. Sorry.
Encounter with the Unknown.
I've never heard of that, and I like a lot of Rod Serling stuff. Interesting. So I had something else at first. I like it, but I kind of decided to go with something I actually really think needs more love. So my last one, it stars Corbin Burnson. I'm stretching the term of big name actor on that one, I know. But it's a slasher movie. It's The Dentist.
Hey, I
like The Dentist. I think as slashers go, it's probably way more underrated than it should be because it's got a lot of it's very character development in terms of Corbin Burnson's character. And that's kind of what makes it better. Is just, this, I can't remember exactly when in the 80s or 90s it came out, but this was after stuff had started getting kind of goofy. It was the 90s, yeah. And stuff had already gotten kind of goofy with the slashers. And I will definitely say the sequel does that. The sequel gets goofy as hell. But the original, it's very straight. And it's kind of darker because of that and feels more unique. And he plays the role really, really well.
Up close.
So that's my last one.
Tooth horror.
Yeah, it's got all those. If you got issues with dentists in general, it's not the greatest movie to watch because they do these great shots where like they make like a mocked up fake mouth and he like injects like stuff into the mouth and stuff. I think Clint Howard's in it, isn't he, as well?
I think he is.
Yes.
Yeah. It's fantastic, and that's one of the things. It's not on Blu-ray.
No, I started to say it's not on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
I prefer it over Dr. Giggles.
I wouldn't be surprised by that. I haven't watched Dr. Giggles yet, but I really like The Dentist.
We reviewed Dr. Giggles, I think, and I wasn't a big fan of it. But I remember renting that from this little place, Leisure Time Video, in my old hometown. And I didn't like it then. Right. So my fifth movie, Stuart Gordon. And it's not like a lesser-known movie, at least it shouldn't be. And if it is, fuck you for you not knowing about it. But it's my absolute favorite H.P. Lovecraft adaptation, Dagon.
Yeah. Dagon.
Dagon is so good. And, all of these Lovecraft adaptations, and during that time, they all had... Jeffrey Combs, thank you. I kept wanting to say Herbert West, but I mean, still true. But they all had him in it, and you know what? This one, it doesn't have Jeffrey Combs in it, but it's got like the poor man's Jeffrey Combs because he still kind of looks like him.
You can tell they probably wanted Jeffrey Combs.
They probably wanted Jeffrey Combs. They're like, hey man, he's busy doing like fucking a Broadway show or something. You'll do.
He's so close to Jeffrey Combs that when the what was it, the Vestron Blu-ray came out and it had like the drawn cover, I thought it was Jeffrey Combs.
That was the first Vestron title that I picked up because I had to have it on Blu-ray. But I 100% absolutely love that movie. I saw it originally as a kid, had no idea who H.P. Lovecraft was, no idea Jeffrey Combs, any of that. I mean, I'd seen Reanimator, but I watched Dagon, and I loved it. And the ending has some questionable CGI, but all of the, if you know the story of Dagon, all of the like fish kind of people, they're all super fucking cool looking, and it's just a really well done adaptation.
Yeah, the main evil chick's hot too.
Well, I'll say about that. There's two funny things about your pick on that. One of them is also on Tubi. One of them's not. You mentioned the poor man's Jeffrey Combs. Something else that's on Tubi. You can't watch this part of it, but is Masters of Horror.
Mm-hmm.
And if you buy the DVD of like his Dreams in the Witch House episode,
Dreams in the Witch House.
Yeah, in the first season, every episode has all their massive, like all the special features. One of them is this series of interviews with people about the director's career, and they actually talk to him about Dagon in that interviews feature.
Oh, really?
You know, and yeah, I think so.
I have that mausoleum set, but I never watched the special.
He might actually be in Dreams in the Witch House. I'm not sure, but I know they talked to him in one of the special features.
Cool.
And the other thing is, you mentioned the head evil person. Yeah, her name's Macarena Gomez. Well, the release Sexy Killer in America, please. It's this fantastic Spanish movie. She plays it's not even really streamable anywhere. I think you can stream it on Amazon Prime and maybe Sling, but Amazon Prime, I think, possibly. She's a student at a college, but she's like breaking the fourth wall, and she like kills people, but she's doing it like in a goofy way. And meanwhile, she falls in love with a mortuary worker, but she thinks he's a killer too. And so she's like acting like she loves him because she thinks he gets her, but she doesn't, and vice versa. It's probably one of the best horror comedies I've ever seen, but it's never out in America. I only have it on a bootleg from UK.
What was it called?
And, Sexy Killer. It's Sexy Killer, and in Spanish it goes Moriras por ella. You'll die for her, or something like that. The trailer's on.
I think I have that on a boot, and I've never watched it.
It's fantastic. It has a very great riff on the Scream like Betsy Palmer thing, because she's like meets up with this guy and goes, "Oh yeah, you think you know everything about horror? Who's the killer in Silence of the Lambs?" And the guy goes, "Hannibal Lecter," and she goes, stabs him with something and go, "Buffalo Bill," and just starts like wailing on the guy. But I mentioned it because the first time I found out about her was she did an interview for Room Ward Radio back in the day, and they were asking her about Sexy Killer at the time, but he also interviewed her about Dagon. And she talked a lot about working with Stuart Gordon, and she really liked doing the role. She's supposed to be fantastic in it.
I will look that up. I think it's over here somewhere, so I will look for it.
I wish it was on Tubi. I would have put that on there first.
So that's essentially what I wanted to accomplish with this episode. Just you get 15 movies that we recommend. Even I think one of them wasn't a horror movie, so that's just awesome.
We've got horror movies, we've got black comedies, we've got non-horror movies, yeah.
I want to say, I've got a couple more titles I'm going to rattle off real quick, because this is a running joke from the original Exorcast show. Tubi has Witchcraft 10, Mistress of the Craft, Witchcraft 11, 12, Witchcraft 13, Blood of the Chosen, Witchcraft 14, 15, and 16 ready to stream. We get the first 9, we're doing a fucking retrospective.
Yeah.
Sure.
Where would you get the first 9?
Well, you know where they're streaming right now? Troma. Because Troma has the rights. Troma has the rights to the first 9. They may not be streaming them all, but Troma has the rights to Troma to 1 through 9, because they released a bunch of them on DVD themselves.
Well, who put out the original VHS of these? Because I remember seeing them at the video store taking up like 2 shelves or 1 shelf.
They listen. Even the new ones, they still have the exact same fucking box art with the big metal pentagram and the sexy girls in front of it.
Yeah, I think the latter ones they kind of got away from it a little bit, but I know like 10, 11, 12 they kept doing it.
All the way up to 16, the pentagram's there.
Does anybody own the rights to this title, or you just make a movie and throw that on it and be done with it?
Oh, I'm sure if you give them like $5, they can let you make one.
Yeah,
there's got to be some sort of revenue coming in for these.
I've heard that one of them has like the lowest budget ever. Like the backdrops look really bad, like in one of like the later ones, like 16 or so. I don't know.
I believe it. I'm not really saying go watch the witchcraft movies, but I am really saying that if I could get my hands on all of them, we would do a fucking retrospective of it, and I would have to bring Eli back for it.
Oh, of course you would.
So I don't know if we'll ever do it, but if we
You'd
did,
have to do 4 at a time. That's too much to remember. You'd have to do like
sure.
4 movies at a time.
Sure.
Because I mean, I can imagine 16. I've been on retrospect that did all the Friday 13th movies. By the time you get to the end of them, everybody's running on fumes, you know.
Oh yeah.
We did that. We did what? We did Halloween. We did Nightmare on Elm Street. We did.
You did Friday the 13th. I'm pretty sure.
We did do Friday the 13th, and we did Saw. We did
Saw.
We did Hellraiser.
We did at least
that was the first time I saw all the Hellraisers.
Especially when everything starts running together on those.
We did the first 4 Puppet Masters. No, sorry. First 4 subspecies movies.
Right, because 4. The 5th one, there's only 4, really.
There's only 4, and then we briefly touched on Vampire Turtles, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
but,
why not, right? We can get him to agree to do it, we'll do it.
Fuck yeah, we'll do it. Yeah, so Tubi is, for lack of better words, fucking awesome.
And if you don't
have it, if you don't have it on your phone, your tablet, your console, fucking Xbox, PlayStation, Blu-ray player, smart TV, whatever, you need it. Because there's a lot of shit on there that you already have, that you've already seen 100 times, but there's tons of stuff that you haven't seen. And I've been watching a whole lot of shitty full moon movies. Like I watch one and I'm like, man, that was...
Have they even incorporated some kind of like news thing or something to it too, haven't they?
I don't know.
Maybe.
But all I know is I watched like Witch House and I'm like, that wasn't terrible. I'm like, oh shit, there's a Witch House too. Oh man, this fucking sucks. And then like a couple of days later, I'm like, fuck, Witch House 3? Well, I gotta watch it. And it was also awful. But yeah, what are you gonna do? You're a horror fan. You're gonna watch horror movies.
Yeah.
I watched Blood. A bunch of them.
I'm gonna watch them, Chuck.
All of them are only about an hour long though, so that's always good.
That'll help then. That'll definitely help.
Yep.
Well, that is the end of episode 5. Right? 5. I'm losing track. Back to back to back.
Yeah,
5.
We're rushing ourselves tonight. Yeah. Yep.
So we'll be back with episode 6 soon, and if you watched all this, we appreciate it. Share, subscribe, and like it, and all that fucking stuff that you're supposed to do.
Engage with us.
Yes, talk to us. We're all nice, even Chuck.
Yep.
Sometimes.